Hello, hello everyone, and welcome to World of Darkness News episode, if I am not wrong, 30, which would make it a little bit of our anniversary, as we've been here for 30 weeks, with, I believe, either one or just two breaks. Since a few months ago, we've been bringing you World of Darkness News every single week, and this week is no different. I am coming here after a little bit of a sick leave, which I had, where I've fallen for the winter sickness after the last week's stream. But fortunately, I was able to recuperate up until this Thursday, and here I am back in action to talk to you both about Vampire the Masquerade Heritage. I had a pre-recorded interview with the developers of this board game, pre-recorded because one of them joined us from as far as Australia, and this particular time of the day is not the best time of the day, or shall I say night, in Australia. So we pre-recorded the interview yesterday, and it is actually super interesting. I'm going to show you guys that next. And of course, I have the news about Vampire the Masquerade Companion. Today I'm going to talk to you about the clan symbols and about the release date, because I know that you're waiting for it, and we promised already that we're going to bring it to you before Christmas, which we are thankfully delivering, and we're going to talk a little bit more in depth about that. But first of all, let's talk about Vampire the Masquerade Heritage before we'll go towards the interview, which I've made with Ash and Babis. They will introduce themselves to you best, so you will know who they are exactly. But if you don't know what Heritage is before this interview, very quick show, because it's still on my desk, because I'm still going through all of its contents. It's a massive board game, and I actually... I do admit it in the interview as well, but I have never ever before met the whole concept of a legacy board game. Some of you guys who are more into board games or played more board games in your life maybe met this term before, met this genre, but I was personally super interested in how this works and how Heritage is trying to bring back this format, but also make it more fun. I hope you liked this interview, and in the meantime, welcome Ash and Babis. Hello there guys, today I'm being joined with Ash and Babis, developers of Vampire the Masquerade Heritage. Guys, could you please very quickly introduce yourself to our audience and tell us what is your role in development of the game? Starting with you, Babis.
So basically, my name is Babis Giannios. I'm a board game designer, and I've worked in the development of Vampire the Masquerade Heritage and the game designing as well. And I do this professionally for 9 years almost. And it has been a fantastic pleasure working on the project of Vampire the Masquerade Heritage along with a team of Nice Game Publishing.
That's great. And what about you, Ash?
Oh, well, that's very sweet because I am part of the team of Nice Game Publishing. Uh, my name is Ash. I have spent it's coming up to 2 years working on Vampire the Masquerade Heritage with Nice Game Publishing in Bonn, Germany.
That's great. So this is a pretty much of a international team right now, because I know that you guys are connecting to me right now from two very different places, right?
Yes, correct.
Right.
What are the places in particular, if I can ask?
So I'm located in Thessaloniki, Greece, in the northern part of Greece.
And I'm currently in Australia, so it is 10 p.m. here. And the Nice Game team generally is very international. It's sort of a focus.
That's great. I'm going to ask you a little bit more about the internationality of Vampire the Masquerade Heritage a little bit later, but let's start with the basics. What was your introduction to World of Darkness in general? Starting with you, Ash.
I actually don't. I think that I saw Bloodlines, and it was very simultaneous seeing Bloodlines and then seeing the role-playing books in like a second-hand store, and I actually don't remember which was first. I remember seeing each and being reminded of it, but certainly Bloodlines was like what got me hooked
Mm-hmm.
on the universe, and from there I dove into the books, and that was when I was in high school, so this is in the late yeah, around 2005, something like that.
That's very similar to my story. What about you, Babis?
So basically, for me, right now I'm 36 years old, and my first contact with the setting was during summer vacation, and I was playing the Warhammer miniatures game. So I asked my father to buy me a specific Vampire Count miniature.
Mm-hmm.
In the end, he actually came back with the Vampire: The Eternal Struggle deck. So uh, let me tell you, I was 12 at that point, and I was really fascinated with the setting and the entire obscure areas of personal horror. This actually made me realize that the setting wasn't all elves and fairies, but it was a rather more mature, and I felt really excitedly challenged by that. So I wanted to explore more, and so I did. So I started playing from at the age of 12, I think.
That's great. And from this long path from there to now, you are developing Vampire the Masquerade Heritage, which I feel like a lot of our audience already saw at least some assets from this game, which are absolutely stunning. It seems to be like a huge box full of treasure for Vampire the Masquerade fans. And I do have this box on my desk right now, so I look at it every single day because it just waits for me to explore it more. And I actually would like to ask the question from the very much of a beginner's perspective of someone who had never played Vampire the Masquerade Heritage. What exactly is this board game?
Ash, do you wanna go or?
Sure, yeah, I'll take that. I guess like with most board games, there's two obvious ways to sort of answer that. And one would be more mechanically minded or about the rules and the gameplay, and one would be sort of thematically. From a mechanical point of view, it's very interesting. It's when Babis came with this prototype, this original design, there was some key ideas baked into it. And when I was doing development, I kept returning to these ideas. It became sort of like a litmus test about how far we were pushing things and whether it was a good direction or not. And the basic premise is very simple, which is that you have three what we came to call battlegrounds, which are three simple mini games. So they might be things like a tug of war
Mm-hmm.
or an area control, which is just that you have different kind of areas and you want more of your guys to control the map than of their guys to control the map. Very simple games that you can sort of recognize what you want to do very quickly. But what makes this difficult is that as you build your tableau, which is a section where you have cards, um, every one of these cards interacts with every one of these battlegrounds. And so sometimes the card will help you in one battleground but hinder you in another. Or it might be neutral here but help another player over there. So while every one of these things is very simple, it's the compromises you have to make in trying to juggle them at the same time. So that's really the core of the game. It's giving a player a series of very simple puzzles where you know just what you want to do here, but the components that you have, the options available to you are kind of like choose your poison. It's like, do you want this bad thing to happen to you or that bad thing? And it's never quite exactly perfect. It's always about juggling kind of tensions about
Mm-hmm.
different things. You can't do it all. So that's the game. It's about choosing from a small section of characters, adding it to your tableau, and when you do that, they modify every battleground. Some of them will help you, some of them will hurt you.
And this seems
Now,
to be.
that's very
Mhm. Yeah,
sorry.
please continue. Please continue.
I was just saying that's a very mechanically minded sort of game rules first way to look at the game. But that really is the core concept that Babis had and that I kept returning to.
I just want to say that, of course, that as much as you say it's very much a mechanical perspective on it, I feel like there's a lot of the connection in between the role-playing aspect of Vampire the Masquerade and how the game works. Because as you expand your family, your vampiric family with your childer and next generations, you can always find the bad seeds here and there. When you expand your coteries, you can always find a vampire who's not going to fit that well into the rest of the group. group. So does that have a reflection in the game? And this question I will actually direct to Babis. What other Vampire the Masquerade role-playing and elements that people can recognize from the books can you find in Heritage?
So basically, as Ash also said, it all trickles down to that decision-making process, which is quite crucial in expanding your family. And the main challenge for a vampire is to actually survive throughout the ages. And not only that, but also find out the correct pawns to do so, whether they are child or not. Um, this is what the game actually brings forth to light, the process of not the process, the idea of having so many different problems to face in an evolving storyline, and having a limited a limited group of people to choose from, and you have to make some compromises, and you have to find the correct one for the correct purpose. And that's basically where the story of Vampire the Masquerade and the game rules are interwoven.
I see. And of course, we can expect the basic elements of Vampire the Masquerade in your games, just clans, right?
Yes, of course. You can find all the 9 clans that you'd expect, and sadly, the independents have eluded us for the time being. But we are so proud to have the 7 core clans, along with the Chimisi and sorry, no, and the as well. No, the Salutery are not in. It's actually worth mentioning that in my prototype, the Cappadocians were also in,
See.
but sadly they were edited out later in the process.
I see. Well, maybe one day we can see a Hecata expansion of the game.
Yes.
But when it comes to the game itself, it spans through the centuries from the 1300s to the 20th century. It seems to be a very big scope to handle by the player. And of course, I know that the game can be played in various different ways, but does this grandiose Vampire the Masquerade experience mean that we have to spend hours and hours at the table with a big group of people, or can this game be played in different ways? Ash.
Yes. Yes, it can be played in different ways. And one of those ways is, of course, as a long campaign of 21 games. Now, it is a legacy game, which for people in the board game world is now quite a familiar concept. However, for people that aren't, kind of obsessed with Board Game Geek, it might be a new idea. And this is a legacy game is really any game where the components physically that you play with are going to be changed as you play. So in early legacy games, cards would be destroyed. That does not happen in Vampire the Masquerade Heritage. I remember Babis was insistent that we not destroy cards, and I think that's the right move because
I don't
the
want to
artwork
destroy any of these
is really
beautiful
amazing.
cards. Never.
Yeah. As the real resident Vampire the Masquerade fan, he advised us that would not be something that people love doing. So you can play it in this sort of grand legacy style, and we can talk a little bit about that later, I guess. But you can also pull it out and play a single game. And now we do have some people who, particularly in the US, but also some Asian backers, or sorry, backers in Asia. They have already received the game. So it's been really good to get that feedback. And there was a couple saying that after playing the game a few times, they can pull it out and play it in 30 minutes. And that was definitely our experience in developing the game, is that once you understand the rules, it really is quite quick.
That's great. And yeah, let's go back to the topic of the legacy part of this game, because this is the concept that I've personally met for the first time, as I've never played a legacy game before. And when I opened my box and got into the rules of Heritage, I've noticed that there are some stickers which I can permanently stick on the cards, which initially got me very scared. Am I going to damage my game with this? Is it going to be unsolvable later on? How does it work in practice?
So, so basically, you're enhancing your game, and through the various matches that you play with your friends and family, obviously, you get to make some permanent changes by actually electing specific vampires that you wish, and you elevate them, as in you recognize their worthiness and their worth, and in that way you're actually shedding some light to their mystery by granting them an ability. Basically, you are uncovering something that this character was doing, so you're developing the story yourself, and this actually contributes to the storyline element that we wanted to convey in the game. It is addressed to a setting that was basically introduced to us through the RPG, and we wanted to stay true to the storytelling system.
Sure, and Ash, how does it work with the particular characters? Because I've seen in the examples of the gameplay that we can, for example, turn some characters into a particular clan, right? And how does it affect the individual copies of the game? Does that mean that if I visit my friend who played Heritage so far, our experience is going to be a bit different when we play the game? Or how does it work?
Your experience will absolutely be very different in playing the game. And that, as a developer, was a huge challenge because unlike a traditional board game where you know exactly the kind of experience the players will have, the components in front of them, we've really gone with a sandbox approach with this game, which means that we don't know which vampires will become ancillary, which vampires will be sort of upgraded and have their special abilities revealed, which is, by the way, a really nice point. The base characters, the original characters that you get with the game, come pre-sleeved, and they're pre-sleeved for an important reason, which is that when you see them originally with their sort of beige, the beige painted side up, they represent originally mortals, but
Mm-hmm.
then lower level vampires as you bring them into your coterie. The players themselves are very, very ancient sort of power brokers in the vampire world, such that between each game you can choose which kind of bloodline you manipulate. So you can be Bruja one game and then Toreador the next. And the idea thematically is that you are playing these clans in ways that they don't quite realize. But when you take one of these basic characters and add them to that bloodline, you're turning them into a vampire for this era. But they're still just sort of archetypes. They're some kind of widow character or a bailiff or a chieftain, but they're not anything specific. However, at the end of every game, if you complete the right missions, you can choose one of those characters in your bloodline and permanently turn them into ancillary. At that point, you can give them a name if you like. But the other thing that it does is it reveals something that hasn't been shown to the players yet, which is that character's innate ability and power. And I think thematically this is really cool because it's that moment in the lore when there's some mortal which is turned for some particular reason and it just does not go the way that people hoped. They've created this monster or they've created somebody that turns against them or something they just weren't expecting. So there's this idea that along with the idea that the characters are never perfectly fitting your battleground machinations, then you never quite know exactly what they're going to do when you turn them into these powerful ancillae. So the way that works is uh, the vampires do not have any particular clan affiliation while they're basic. When they become ancillae, they become permanently marked. So you
Mm-hmm.
can give them a name, you reveal their special ability, and you might say, because I was just playing the Toreador in this game, this is a Toreador vampire. Now, if you don't like the theming or you don't think it's right for this vampire, you can always make them a thin blood.
Mm.
So the idea is that when you go to your friend's game night, they have chosen completely different ancillae in completely different clans. They've upgraded and developed the clans themselves with different clan schemes throughout history, and then they've applied different vampiric abilities to the vampires that are turned. So it really is very different, and even more so with the expansions.
That's super interesting. And now I feel like in order to truly experience this game, I need to go to a couple of my friends and see what they're doing with their copies of games. That's super fun. So,
May I
Mhm.
also sorry, may I also add something to that, to what Ash magnificently said, is the fact that if you see something with color, if it's a colored character, then it's part of your story,
Mhm.
and for sure. And then if you elevate a character, so if you bring a character to your clan, then this doesn't necessarily mean that this character is within your control. You may, sorry, you might have created a beast. So even though your intentions were true and you wanted to actually use this vampire as a pawn, then you might lose control of that character entirely. Your opponents might also try to manipulate that character in the later games.
I see. So, I mean, we always, as vampires, want to create the perfect childer who are going to be our servants
Yes.
forever, but it never works really. So sometimes we
Yes.
create those beasts that turn against us and diablerize it in the end. So
That's so true.
that's just unlife for you.
I hate it when that happens.
I know, right? So, Babis, I have a question for you. Of course, as again a person who hasn't met many legacy games in the past, and the idea of sticking the stickers on the cards permanently is still a little bit scary for me. How does that affect the general replayability? Is Vampire the Masquerade Heritage like infinitely replayable?
Yes, I can say that in a heartbeat. Myself, I'm a board gamer at heart, and I really like board games. And what really drew me closer to legacy games is the thing that it can create a rather unique game for yourself. So basically, all legacy games, in some sort of way, do create a specific version of that game for you and your friends and your play group, and uh, the thing that really bothered me in the existing legacy games is the fact that you get to destroy many of your components and that you have to alter the game and bring it to such a state that in the end it might end up being either unplayable or heavily unbalanced. And we really wanted to avoid that with Vampire the Masquerade Heritage, because we wanted the players to experience to have two different kind of experiences. The one that carries them through a storyline, through 21 matches to be specific, and the other mode of the game where you get to play a game that has been fully created by you, fully developed by the players, not just by the developers, but by the players as well. And each time that you play this kind of version, you reminisce on the things that you lived in the other mode, if that makes sense. So yes, I'm totally proud of what Heritage has turned out to be, because it is a legacy game at heart, but it definitely has the sort of replayability that doesn't make you feel that the game has been hampered in any sort of way.
This is amazing. I mean, we are talking here about the infinitely replayable legacy games spanning across the centuries with the amount of cards and assets that are in the box, which are just absolutely amazing. From a player's perspective, this is great, but I can only imagine that from a designer and developer's perspective, this might have been a horror a few times in the development. So, what were the biggest challenges in developing Heritage?
I guess this is one for me. Yeah,
Yes.
I did jot down some numbers because I forget them. So there are, and these are very rough estimates in the sense of they just sound a bit more exciting. So we have 500 cards in the box if you get the expansions, roughly 130 double-sided illustrated characters, each unique, 130 clan schemes across all 9 of the clans, each unique, and then 105. I know that one exactly because I wrote them. Historical missions. So yeah, there is loads of stuff in here. The main challenge in developing this game was the. This is maybe a bit game theory 101, but there is a real tension in creating a legacy game or a campaign game itself that is competitive. This has been a real this has been kind of the white whale of game design for a little while, I think, because by its nature, if you as a player get some kind of advantage when you win that first game, well, you might just win the second game, right? And then that might mean that you win the third game. And so, uh, on the counterpoint, if you win the first game, but then nothing really happens, it doesn't matter. You just pick up the second game again. Well, it doesn't really feel like a campaign or a legacy, right? It just feels like they're isolated episodes. You want something like Buffy, I think, which is like there's an overwhelming arch through the entire story, but then there are sort of episodes that like make sense in and of themselves. You don't want the game to be decided halfway through in game 10 kind of thing. So I would say this was the main difficulty, and I believe that we hit a sweet spot where while there are advantages to winning a game and there are sort of disadvantages to losing a game, there are also catch-up mechanics and there are also things that constrain winners. So that it is really viable right until the end of the Chronicle, that any player could still win. Um, and I think that one of the solutions that we found to a lot of our problems was really embracing the sandbox element and really just putting more control in the player's hands so that that vampire politics kind of comes into play. This is why I think the game really sings more at 3 or 4 players rather than two. But at 3 or 4 players, the politics is very obvious that it's all about negotiating with your rivals to determine who the biggest threat is. And so we really let this determine a lot of the ways that which characters become ancillary, which abilities they get, which clan schemes become available. We put this in the players' hands and we let them sort of balance a lot of those issues around stopping runaway leaders and making sure that it really is competitive right to the end.
That's great. And going back to the roots of how Vampire the Masquerade Heritage was made, as we're talking about development, after development, there came the time, or maybe it was even during the development, for the Kickstarter campaign. And you guys had a tremendous success with over 5,000 backers. Could you let people who might watch us and might want to make their own Vampire the Masquerade board game or any board game in the future share a little bit of a secret? What is the recipe for a successful Kickstarter campaign like yours? Babis, do you have the recipe for that?
So when it comes to Kickstarter projects, I think that there is no recipe because Kickstarter is quite a fickle element to use, and in order to come up with a rather successful campaign, the advice that I have to give you is to actually stay true to your project's heart, love your project, love your game, and love your backers as well. Because basically, what Nice Game Publishing magnificently did was that they kept a fantastic relationship with their backers. The backers actually asked for more, and we delivered in a sense. And not only that, but because we loved our project, we stayed true to everything that we had promised and everything that we intended to give with this game. That's basically it. There's no golden recipe, I think, for this. But Ash also has something to share for sure because he
Oh,
knows.
I was essentially going to say the same thing. I was not involved. I was involved with the project when the original when Babis's original design came into Nice Game, and then I've been involved since the Kickstarter. So I wasn't involved at the Kickstarter, but I would absolutely agree that it's about having a cool premise that you really, really, really believe in, and sticking to that. So in this case, it was really trying to give the Vampire the Masquerade fans an experience which is I think has sort of been a little bit missing from the games as far as individual titles, which is the very grand sweep of history. You know, the centuries and centuries of time that pass by, and the sense of building an empire through that time. I think this has been an itch that vampire fans have been wanting to scratch for a while, and
Yeah,
so
I
by
think
having that.
I believe it was ever since Vampire the Masquerade Redemption when there is this big leap of time in the video game, but there's just nothing in between because you just wake up in the 20th century, right?
Right, and I totally understand why they did that.
Yes, me too.
Because there's so much stuff
Yeah,
in there.
and
So
yeah.
yeah, it was just Babis having a great idea, and then Nice Game really sticking to that, and then the community getting behind the project. Now that's not really much of a recipe, sadly.
I mean, this is already, I feel like a part of the recipe at least. Make sure that you have a very good contact with the community and that you are responding to their needs, which I think you guys did in a marvelous way. So thank you so much for this. So speaking of the game and its availability, could you let us know where the game is available right now and in which languages as well?
Yeah, so at the moment it's a little bit like there's like a fog of war, where we're getting stories about ships missing and delays at ports. We were checked multiple times by like customs in the EU, but I can give some information. So if you're in the US, in North America, so Canada, it is being delivered, and I believe that a large number of backers have already received the game. A lot of people have said that they didn't get a tracking code or anything like that from the partners before it arrived. It just turned up at their door. So it could turn up any day basically if you're in North America. Now, if it doesn't in a reasonable period of time, we have a support page on our website. You can just leave a comment there, and our fulfillment guys will get back to you. So that's in the US. This is, by the way, for backers. So I'll get to sort of retail next.
Sure.
In the EU, we should start shipping on Monday. So we're
Yay.
pretty excited about that. We had all sorts of issues coming to Europe. So it'll start shipping on Monday from Leipzig. Sorry for my pronunciation there
I
to
think it's good
the Germans.
actually.
Um, and that's sort of across languages. So in Brazil, they are hoping for December, but my understanding is it's hard to predict shipping in coming to Brazil. So that's what our partners are still hoping for anyway. And a similar time frame for Russia. Now, as far as people who didn't back or late pledge and are interested in picking up the game, we are essentially out of stock of English in Europe. So we've essentially sold out of the English edition in Europe currently. We might be
Congratulations.
moving some. Thank you. It's like it's a good problem to have, but it is genuinely a problem to have, is that we really sold it just kept selling in late pledges. So that's really nice, I guess. We may be moving some stock around. One second. We may be moving some stock around, but yeah, that's the case at the moment. Also, German in Europe is down to very, very low quantities, so a couple of dozen essentially. Now, if you're in the US, you're in more luck. We have some stock there, and we're sort of looking at December 15th as the date at which we will sort of unofficially release it at retail. So you can go to our website and you can order there. And for everyone picking up the retail edition now, it'll be shipped from December 15th.
That's great. And which languages is the final edition of the game available in?
I'm gonna forget one, and I'm sorry because I shouldn't, because I spent so long going through this stuff. So we have English, we have German, we have French, we have Spanish, we have Italian, we have Russian, we have Portuguese. I believe that's it.
We'll check
Um,
out. We'll triple check. So
yeah,
worry not. That's great
but
though.
certainly quite a few. And
That's
and we are in talks. We are in talks with some other partners about some further language additions, but that's to be determined.
that's great. And when it comes to, of course, first of all, the game coming back to stock and any other updates that are from your side, where can people follow you to get that information?
So the best way to get general information would be to go to vtm-heritage.com. vtm-heritage.com. That's sort of the page that we've set up just for this game. There you'll find the living rulebook. If you are intimidated by all the bits and pieces, because it has so many different components through the eras, it might be intimidating. You can go to the living rulebook, and there are some videos and things like that. There's also videos that we put on YouTube explaining how to play. And we also have a Discord, which really it's great to see. It has quite a lively community growing on the Discord, and quite often there'll be a question, and by the time one of us can get to it, somebody else in the community has already answered that question for them. So if you go to the Discord, if you have a question through a game, there's a pretty good chance you can go to the Discord and get it answered, kind of on the spot. So you can find the Discord on that page as well, vtmheritage.com, and the Living Rulebook. And then you can follow Nice Game Publishing on Twitter and Facebook.
That's great. Thank you so much for letting us know about all that and for this really cool interview, because I've learned a lot about the development of the game, and I feel like not only I want to play my copy now, but my friends' copies as well. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for everything.
Thank you. I really hope that you will join us again in the future with any of your future products. And as for now, I wish you a very good day and successful deliveries of Vampire the Masquerade Heritage.
Yeah.
Yay! Fingers crossed, right? Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Have a nice day.
Oh, hello, welcome back. I feel like I have much more color today on my face than I had yesterday, which is a good sign. I am just here waving with the battlegrounds from this game in front of my face. As you can see, they look absolutely glorious. I do have a light in front of me, so it's going to be a little bit less visible than it would be in a nicer setting. But if this doesn't convince you, if this interview doesn't convince you to get Vampire the Masquerade Heritage, maybe this cute little Ang will do that, which is absolutely adorable. My daughter tries to break into my room. I hope you won't mind this. It's a zombie attack. It happens in the world of darkness, okay? Or, for example, one of the beautiful stickers that I was talking a lot about in this interview. And additionally, of course, very angry Matthew Dawkins, who is also a part of that. I think actually this particular set was Kickstarter exclusive, but there's a very angry Matthew Dawkins who is the author of one of the Gentleman's Story, which is one of the expansion stories for Heritage. So I hope you enjoyed this article, this interview. I feel like it really got me personally a lot of insight into Heritage. As much as I am still to play this game, I feel like I have a better grasp on it right now, and cannot wait to check it out further. But now I'm going to move to a more TTRPG-oriented segment, although we did talk a bit about TTRPGs during this interview, but something that you guys are probably waiting for, which is more information about Vampire the Masquerade Companion. And in this particular segment, I will also have a very special guest, and that's going to be my friend Steve. Hello, Steve. So this is Steve. How are you, Steve? Steve is not very talkative today, but he's just there to be beautiful. Let's just face it. I am here to be the talk, and he's there to be the look, which is fine. But today I am going to give you two reveals from the companion. The very first reveal is going to be the reveal of the clan symbols. Now, before I will reveal them, I will also say that we took this opportunity to also update Banu Hakim symbol, so you will also see it today, and also that some of the symbols that you will see, you may very well recognize. Though all of them got a little touch-up, and there's, for the trained eye especially, you will see that there are some differences, but some of them are quite familiar, let's say. So without further ado, let's go to the clan symbols for Clan Salutery, Ravnos, Tzimitzi, and Banu Hakim. As you can see, Clan Salutery and Clan Tzimitzi got basically little touch-ups from the previous editions, making sure that they are basically very similar in the style to the rest of the V5 symbols, and you will be able to, of course, all of these symbols, download them in the transparent PNG forms from our Discord. I'm going to share them there. That's discord.gg/World of Darkness. Ravna's got the pretty much of a big new symbol, and Banu Hakim is also updated, although it might seem a bit familiar to what was the previous symbol for Banu. I am welcoming you guys to a discussion about these symbols. Let us know what you think about whether bringing some of the symbols back in a refreshed form or the new symbols which we've added. We are very much looking forward to your feedback. And when it comes to Ravna's symbol, I welcome you personally very, very strongly into the discussion about the symbolism of it and what it might portray, because I'm wondering if you will catch the little bits. So these are the clan symbols, which again in the transparent PNG form are going to be available in our Discord at discord.gg/World of Darkness. I'm also going to share them later on the social media, but they won't be in the transparent PNG forms in there. They will be basically as a social media asset, so they will be shared outside of the stream, of course, and you will be able to get the PNGs for your own use from our Discords. And now I feel like it's a good time to move to very important information regarding the companion, which is the release date. As we promised you the gift before Christmas, and I know that people are usually, or before the holidays, people are very much busy during that time, sometimes going back to visit their families or doing other things. But we want to give you enough time to get to check it out. So the release date for Vampire the Masquerade Companion is going to be December 16th, which is a little bit less than 2 weeks from now on Wednesday. And yeah, that's when we're going to release it, and it is going to be available on worldofdarkness.com for free for every owner of Paradox account, which you can make for free on our website. So basically just make an account and then you can download it for free. As much as I understand that there's a lot of, this is like my personal question for you guys, there's a lot of people in the chat in here that I know you have wonderful communities out there. You have your Discord servers, you have your Facebook groups and other different places in which you gather with the family. I would very much ask you nicely to encourage your community to download our companion from the official source, which is our website, mostly because this gives us the information on how many people want this thing to happen and want similar things like this to happen in the future. So the more people get on board the companion and would like the companion, the more there is a possibility that we might do something similar in the future. So just letting you know that we would very much appreciate to get it from the official source, even though we know it's free. But that's the only thing that we ask for. So yeah, that's the date, 16th December on Wednesday, not next Wednesday, but next after. So in a little bit less than 2 weeks. I hope you will enjoy it. We will of course cover companion way more in detail after the release here, but yeah, the clan symbols are going to be available on Discord. If you have any questions about what is going to be in the companion, more or less, I can't give you super much spoilers or details of particular abilities and stuff like that, but please go to our Discord and ping me if you have any questions about the availability, how to get it, what's going to be in there, and the rest. I will welcome all of your questions and would be there for you guys to answer all of them. So, oh yeah, when it comes to, because there's a lot of questions that we get about the printing, we cannot confirm anything just yet, but that note, we see that a lot of people want it to happen in the print, so we'll see what we can do. But that's not going to happen this year. Maybe next year, we'll see. There won't be lore sheets in the companion. You can expect other things. All of the things which will be in the companion are listed on our website. So there's a article about the companion with all the things in there. In short, of course, full rules for Clan Simitsi, Ravnos, Salutery, additional rules for role-playing ghouls and mortals, as well as coterie merits, which is an additional merits that are going to be useful for your coteries, depending on which clan you're playing with. Not only Simitsi, Ravnos, and Salutery, but also coterie merits for other clans. And a small errata for V5, which is going to update some of the rules and add some little additional things to the rules. So you'll see. So we did not confirm the print on demand nor physical option just yet. On the 16th, the digital version is going to be available, and we're going to see what we can do in terms of physical edition next year. Okay, guys, so I think that's all that I can say today, but I really hope that you enjoy the companion. In order to get it, just go to our website, make an account, and you can download it on the 16th. It's going to be available then. And I am going to be around all of our communities listening to what you guys think about both our symbols and your hopes for the companion and what you will see in the companion. So share your feedback and I will be listening. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I will be seeing you next week on December 10th, which is actually my birthday. So that's going to be a very special episode for me because my first birthday on the news show. And yeah, cannot wait to see you guys then. Until then, and don't get lost in the night.